Welcome to Oregon Cash Flow Pro. What a week in the market. Let's do an update on our 34,000 0% interest credit card challenge. All right, a quick reminder. These are our goals. Secure the funds from credit cards. We did balance transfers, or we're able to just get cash, put it into our HELOC if we had to do a balance transfer, get the money out, deposit it into a brokerage account, and then profit. Trading criteria, we're going to preserve our capital. That's the number one thing, because we got to be able to pay these cards off at the end of the special rate period. We need to minimize risk. We want to use minimal time commitment and earn consistent profits. These are the cards. These are the amounts we transferred. We actually transferred more than 34,000. We're actually going to have about 59,500. The extra funds, we've only received 34 so far, but the extra funds will be coming into our account next week. These are our minimum payments that we have to look at and pay each month. And this is how many days left we have before we have to pay back the original amount. Otherwise, we're going to have to pay credit card interest rates, and we are not going to do that. In order to earn enough to pay back the fees, we need to make $2,890 over the course of the next year and a half. That's about $792 per day, $55.58 per week, or $240.83 per month. And if we're fortunate enough to do really well, we're going to pay off all of the cards as well with our profits, which means we need $62,365 in profits. That's about $170 a day, $1,200 a week, or just over $5,000 per month. Let's see where we're at. These are our raw trades that we've started inputting them from the beginning. If you're in our Discord, you have access to this spreadsheet, and you can look at all of our trades and the times that I did the trades. Now, this is from here to here. This was the trades we did this week, but a lot of them are spreads. So you can see some were buy to open and some were, some of them we closed. So we didn't do that many trades throughout the week, but there is all of the information. If any of you guys want to look at that, just from looking at this video, you can see it. And this is where we're at on the spreadsheet. You can see where there's green here on these particular tickers. We're in the positive. We haven't had to buy a large position yet, or we haven't chosen to buy a large position. These ones here, like Tesla, we just entered into a big position because we wanted to do essentially a poor man's covered call. But there's a twist on this one, and I'm going to show you what that is here a little bit later in this video. We opened one on mstr, and Webull, we made a couple of changes. So we're working our way back on Webull. This was one that we got essentially assigned in this second week. But over here is the amount we've collected or spent each week in total. And right now with all of our trades, we're at minus 6,000. But our net liquidity in this account, we can see our net liquidity here in this account is 6,701. We're actually up $650 since we started this, and we are not quite 1 month into it. So if we go back to our goals, we need $240 each month in order to pay back all the fees, but we need about $5,200 if we want to pay off all of the cards. Well, we started off really slow and conservative. In that first week, we barely used any of our capital, and now we're using a bit more of it, but still less than half. You can see right here, we have about 34,000. Actually, it's just over half. We got 34,000. We do have margin. We're not using the margin at all. We got about 15,000 in cash, and we've got another 25,000 that's coming into this account next week. So we plan on accelerating what we're going to be making. We should be able to increase this by quite a bit and hopefully start knocking down some of these credit card balances. Let's take a look at our overall activity year to date. You can see right here, realized gains. We're actually at $908 in realized gains. We have some positions that are outstanding that have a slight negative to it. 787 is our actual gain if we were to close everything out right now, but you've got fees from trades. So our net right now is at 650 in profits. We had a good week on Hood and a good week on Tesla as well. Let's go take a look at our current positions. Here with Webull, we had 200 shares up until earlier today. We ended up closing out of those shares and opening a couple of long call positions in order to utilize less capital. So these two long positions used $500 in capital, and we were able to sell our shares that we had for $2,600. The reason we did that is so that we have more capital available to enter into some bigger positions. And this didn't really cost us anything to shift into this position. The extrinsic value on these two is almost nothing. So we essentially got into them for the price of where the shares were at right now. So it didn't really matter that we're holding on to shares or we're holding on to these calls. And next week, we can just let these turn right back into shares if we wanted to. But we're going to try to clear out of our other positions. So we added 2 more long calls, and ultimately, our net liquidity right now on Webull, $645. But if it closes above $13.50, so another 21 cents higher, if it closes above that, this position is worth $900. So we got a couple $100 available to us in profits by next week, and it only has to go up 21 cents. Whatever we end up with next week will be essentially our overall gain on the year, because right now we're at minus $50, but there's a swing of almost $250 in the position that we're in right now. So we should end up a couple $100 end of next week. That's best case scenario. Robinhood, this one was a fun one. Robinhood went into the S&P 500 this week, and so we anticipated a bit of a spike up, and I actually entered into a long position. I'm going to show you what this trade looked like. Right here, we bought the 155 call expiring in 2026, June 2026, and we paid quite a bit of money for that. Let's go see what that looks like over here. So we went out of the money down to the 155. We bought that. Now, if we take a look, the delta on this one is 45. That means for every dollar hood goes up, the value of this option increases 45 cents. The value we lose each day that we hold this is just under $5 a day. With that position, we sold some calls, and what we sold was a 150 call expiring next week, sold that for $21, and we sold the 129 call expiring next week for $165. So altogether, we were going to collect potentially $186 by next week, end of next week, if it stayed under 129, and we basically held on to the value of this. If hood goes up, getting into the S&P 500, if it would have gone up, we would go up in value by the difference in the deltas. So we were selling the 129 and we were selling the 150. So our overall delta it wasn't $8 at the time. It was more like $10. So essentially, for every dollar Robinhood goes up, we make $10 on the overall trade. And if it doesn't reach there, we can just close out, or we would just take the profits from those two, sell again the next week. And we could just do what's similar to a poor man's covered call. But normally in a poor man's covered call, you're going to sell a deep in the money long call. We didn't want to sell a deep in the money long call, because a deep in the money long call would have taken up a lot more capital. In this case, $5,000, $4,000, and we only ended up using $1,700. Ultimately, we entered into that position yesterday, and we managed to get out of it today. That one there, that one there. Oh, we bought 2 of them. We bought 2 of those long ones. So we got that one there. Let me actually make that 2 of those, because we actually had quite a bit more delta. So the overall delta on the trade was $53. That makes more sense. So for every dollar hood goes up, we made $53. Well, as it turns out, we were able to close that trade today and made a quick $134. So overnight, we made a quick $134. This ended up closing right before the bell today, because we just had a close order in. If it ended up going up and hitting our price that we were happy with getting with that overnight trade, and not have to hold it over the weekend and see if hood ends up dropping after going into the S&P 500, then we were going to be happy with it. Didn't require me to sit and watch it, but we were watching it because we were just walking at the time, and it ended up closing. So we booked our profits. That was a nice little trade. Essentially, we had $3,400 in capital. We had $134 that we got for the trade overnight, which is almost a 4% return overnight. We'll take that all day and then not carry any risk over the weekend. Now, I actually wouldn't have minded holding on to it anyways, because I do think hood is going to go up, but the market goes up and down. I think we're going to get another opportunity to enter into a trade like this. Now, if you can get 4% overnight like that, or let's just say $134, you do that overnight, basically 175 times throughout the year, you can make over 20 grand. And we utilized a little over 3,500 in capital. So really good trades on Hood. Current positions, we have a couple of positions expiring in 35 days. Those are up. We're just going to wait those out, or maybe we get a chance to pick up the shares here at $100. And then we have a ratio put spread with the vertical. Overall capital being used on Hood right now because of this and this. These are just cash secured puts, $3,200. And we're currently up $136 on those. We could close out of these anytime. And it's a good return on investment already, but I don't think any of them is at risk. And I don't mind continuing to let that theta, the time value, go away. So we're getting about $7 a day on this. Next, Lulu ended up coming back quite a bit. So we're in a much better position than we were before. We're only down a couple $100, whereas I think we were down 400 earlier in the week because Lulu ended up going up by almost $10 over the course of the week. So we like that. That one's a good position, playing out how we kind of hope it does. Hopefully it keeps going up. mstr. mstr, we entered into a similar position as Hood, except we're not giving ourselves quite as much time because it's quite a bit of capital that we're putting out. So we spent $4 grand purchasing 2 long calls here on mstr, and that give us 119 days. So January of 2026. Let's look at the mstr trade. We've got these two. The delta is 31 on each of those. That gives us a delta total of 0.62. So for every dollar mstr goes up, we make $62. I think mstr is going to be going up before the end of this year. We're giving ourselves room here for it to move up. So we sold 1 call here and we bought another one here. So we have a spread of $5 and we collected $80 or so for that. We also have a put spread down here for next week. So we've got both sides covered, whether it goes up or down. One of these is going to profit. If it goes up, this one profits, this one loses value, but our long calls gain in value. So that's what we're expecting to play out here. Now, this happens to be a position that we are in the wrong side. We're on the wrong side of theta. So our time value on these ones are going away a lot faster than these ones. But I'm kind of expecting mstr to pop up from where it's at. It did go from 340 to 344. So we did gain a little bit of value on these ones. There's just there's a bit of a spread on these ones. So it doesn't recognize all of the value that it went up just yet, but it's there. So we like to see how this one plays out. In the meantime, we're going to keep collecting income each week while we give this a chance to run. So we need to make sure that we're collecting more than we're losing in theta on this overall trade. We got to collect more than that $25 a day. NVIDIA, we closed out of our long position on NVIDIA in order to book some profits. So year to date on NVIDIA, we are now profitable by $197. Not too bad, considering we basically got assigned on it in that first week, losing 300. So we came back and we made a couple hundred on top of that. We entered into another spread. So if it gets back under 170, we're going to buy it again. We're going to enter into that long position, but we're giving it a chance to go down again. In the meantime, we're just going to collect some premium if it doesn't. So in this case, we get $68 if it stays over 170 for the week. Our risk was $500. So that's more than a 10% return in the week if it stays above that. And then we still have an iron condor out here. We got 35 days. We're trying to collect this $3 or $2.30 a day in time value from this iron condor. We're not going to hold this till expiration, most likely, but we'll see. In general, I'm looking to get out of it around 21 days till expiration, and hopefully we'll see some value in here. We got $108 putting on this iron condor. We're going to hope to get out of it for maybe half of maybe 50% profit. That would be kind of nice. Triple Q. We've got a couple of iron condors on Triple Q. Currently, those positions are not doing good, but that's because Triple Q went up pretty quickly this week. The plan with this one, if it gets up to this strike, the 610 strike, we roll this out. we roll both of these out and we collect some more premium. So we're not going to let it go through that. We're going to roll it out, and then we roll this down as well. We roll it down as well. So that's the plan with that one. We got 28 days for that to play out. Tesla. We entered into a long position on Tesla. We're essentially doing the same thing I did on Hood, but we're hoping for Tesla to shoot up again. And if not, we're essentially running poor man covered calls on this. This is where you can see we did the calendar spread. I've got 272 days till expiration. Now, earlier this year, we did an actual poor man's cover call on Tesla. And the long call that I bought that was deep in the money, we spent $15,000 on that long call. We were going to be getting about $700 a week in covered call premium if Tesla kind of holds steady, but it immediately lost a whole bunch of money. And that call went from $15,000 down to $12,000 or $11,000 in value. So we lost $3,000 or $4,000 in one day because Tesla took a massive, massive drop. Well, I didn't want to put on that much risk this time, but I kind of want to be able to sell covered calls on Tesla because there's a lot of premium available. So instead of going deep in the money, we went deep out of the money and we're doing something very similar. So this is a twist on the poor man's covered call. Instead of spending $15,000, we spent $4,500. And instead of getting the 90 delta, we're getting the 0.38 delta. Now, if Tesla does go up in value very quickly, the delta is going to quickly go up, which is going to be very helpful for us. So we may be earning less right now, but as Tesla goes up in value, we will earn more. The key to this is that what we're going to sell allows us to make money if Tesla goes up. Now, the theta on this one is about $16 a day. That's the time value we're going to lose on this each day. So the spreads that I ended up selling against this, we went out to the 440 strike. This gives us room for Tesla to move up about $15. The delta on these spreads is about $9, almost $10, and the theta is about $10. So remember, on the whole entire trade, we have a delta of 28 and we're losing only about $6 a day. That works. I'm okay with that. I actually don't mind this theta too much because we have a long ways to go, 272 days. And ultimately, I expect Tesla to move up and we're going to cash out well before that. And the profits we're going to make is from Tesla moving up. I just need to make enough selling these spreads each week to not lose too much value so that when we do end up moving up, we end up in a profitable position that we can get out of. So we sold two of these. The ultimate value of those two is about $460. So by next week, if Tesla stays under 440, we make $460. Best case scenario, it kind of hangs out throughout the week down here and goes up and finishes somewhere over here end of next week. We're going to be looking to essentially either roll this out or close it. If Tesla goes up and the other ones are profitable and these ones we don't have to worry about being threatened, we may just hold on to this whole position and roll it out to next week to make some more income while we sit on a profitable position. That is yet to be decided. But I like the use of capital in this scenario much better than when we entered into that long call earlier this year. Now, earlier this year, we did end up coming back and making about $3,000 on the Tesla poor man's covered call position. But it took a lot of work. I think I did a few hundred trades trying to manage that because it was immediately panic mode since it dropped right away. Well, in this scenario, our risk isn't even all that much money. That long call would have to go to zero for us to lose $3,000 or $4,000. That's just not going to happen. And we're actually in a position, if Tesla does drop, we get to add to that and just increase our position size for when Tesla bounces back. So that's the plan for Tesla. We expect this position to really help us make some money during this challenge. We have a $5 wide spread here as well, expiring next week, way back at the 375 and 370, which we got $28 for. We made almost 50% on that already, but I didn't want to close it out because it's so far away from where Tesla's currently at. And then we also have the iron condor for Tesla down here too. So we're up on that one as well. So I like the positions that we're in here on Tesla. Just so you know, this $28, we're using $500 of capital. So that's about a 5% return over the course of the week. There's 52 weeks in the year. That could ultimately be, if we keep doing this throughout the year, that's essentially 250% return on the capital used. So all of these positions, for us to be successful in this challenge, the biggest success, pay back the full amount of credit cards, we just need to deploy more of our capital, but we need to make sure that we're doing it safely. And that's all I've got for you. So I appreciate you joining me. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the comment section below. If you want me to expand on any more of these trades or the ideas behind them, let me know. We're currently sitting at 25 in theta. So with all of our positions together, we're still making about $25 a day, which exceeds our requirement at the minimum to pay off all those fees. And we're hoping that our long positions will actually make quite a bit of money. So take care, and we'll see you next time. The next 20 seconds determine your future. Subscribe, meet with me, or continue educating yourself with these videos right over here. I appreciate you. Now go maximize your cash flow.